Hey guys, let's get after it. There's really not much else to say. So it looks like on Euro what we're having here is we're having this kind of three-bar reversal to the upside. We have a higher wick, lower wick, and a higher wick, and we're kind of turning around here. Um, let's remove these EMAs as they'll distract us from this price action. But let's look really deep into this price action here. We're having this turnaround, but what we're having is as we're getting lower, these wicks are not very long, but as we're getting lower, they're extending. So that tells us the price needs to really do some kind of a healthy pullback. And a healthy pullback is, in my opinion, at least a 50% halfway. So it's very possible we see some mean reversion to the middle of this pretty much range. Just from telling us this here price action right here. So I mean, pop up definitely it looks like is likely to the middle of that range. On dollar Swiss we have the exact same thing because dollar Swiss is the inverse. We have a lower wick, higher wick, lower wick. Price is in the same kind of range thing. We had wick extension to the upside as we were getting up here. Other than this wick, that showed us it was getting higher, but there was no turnaround here. Now we're starting to see this turnaround. The only thing is, if price were to close back in the middle of this, we could potentially see more up and or more consolidation. Really, if this doesn't close very bearish, it would really make the idea of this going lower a little less ideal. So yeah, we'll watch that. On pound, we have some very small bodied candles. So price sold off heavily, decently heavily. But it really what it looks like is it was just filling in this move that pretty much went straight up. So price filled this back in, came into the 78.6, and now there's starting to be buyers, but they're very weak. We're having these wicks to the top, and we're having these wicks to the bottom, but there's not a whole lot, I mean, to look into here. What we do have is we have this resistance here from all this wicking area. So I do expect some kind of reaction. With all these wicks right here on the daily, I do expect some kind of reaction. And I think it would be very smart to get some kind of reaction to the lows or even these lows. There's not a lot in the price that tells us a certain direction, but yeah. On the odd, however, this is looking very strong. We had price come in here, and it was a small retracement to the 33% that I watch. And then we had a three-bar reversal. We had a higher wick, lower wick, higher wick, closed bullish, and now we're popping. So as we're popping, we're taking out this candle that if you looked back on the webinars, I believed we would come up here and take this out because the sell was just so obvious. I mean, we hadn't seen a down bar in forever. And so people were probably expecting a deeper pullback. We didn't even come into this last high, so people were probably expecting a deeper pullback, which they did not get. So price took out these highs, and now it's using those liquidity to run to these highs. Odd yen is doing kind of the same thing. We had a shallow retracement to the 33%. We took out these highs, and now we are gunning for these highs. Price did a three-bar reversal, higher wick, lower wick, higher wick. The wick extension really isn't anything to notice here. There wasn't a wick here. There wasn't a wick here, but there was a tad bit of wicking here. That price probably used as support to pop back up. I do believe this was a weekly low as well, so we bounced off that. Kiwi, same thing. We had a little bit of a deeper retracement. I believe this is the 61.8 to 78.6 area. Price gave us a bullish candle that closed in the 50% area of this entire candle to the upside. It didn't close in the 50% like as in there was no body. It means that the candle itself, the body, is at least 50% of this candle. Then we had a doji here, and price is showing acceleration again. So what we had is high momentum, indecision, high momentum. price used, it looks like last week's low to propel price, and now we're coming back up to these highs to see if we can take out this liquidity to go to that area. With the high momentum, indecision, and high momentum, I would say it's very likely to keep on with the trend. As you can see here, we have high momentum, indecision, high momentum, and another candle, and then we come back down. High momentum, indecision, high momentum, and that pattern does happen quite a bit. It usually is a sign of a short-term pullback into the indecision candle. After, in the correct trend, it will bounce off the indecision candle. But that's something a little bit more deep than what I have to go into right now. Price is doing a reversal down here. It's not near confirmed. We aren't closing bullish, it looks like. We're at the start of the day, so it's very possible, drop down and close bullish to the upside, which would then tell us, we're probably going to come at least into the 50% of this range and give ourselves a healthy pullback. Price is holding these daily lows. If we were to come back in here, close bearish, I would say we're probably going to waterfall back to the lows, as these are closer than these. It's a magnet effect, essentially. So the closer you are to a particular low or a high, the more likely it is to get tested, because the magnet gets stronger as you get closer to the actual magnet. So if we were to close to the bear side, I would say it's very likely that we just take out these lows. To the bearish side, we will probably pop back up to do a healthy retracement, as the price action is confirming that type of thing. On the pound yen, what do we have here? We have a big bearish candle that did close at more than 50% of the candle is the body. Price then started to hold, and then we had a bearish candle, and now we're getting these indecision areas. So essentially what we're having here is we have resistance and support. Price could go either way. This is a consolidation area. I don't recommend trading consolidation areas. A range and chop are two different things. This is chop. A range would be a much bigger ability to trade. There's a range on dollar yen. It's actually this right here is a range that I am actually watching. On the daily price action, it's very wicky, as you can see. Wicks to both sides. There is downward pressure as we were moving down and creating this double bottom, not giving a full pop and bringing back down. So there is that downward pressure on dollar yen for sure. Okay, so let's do some drawings here. Let's do some technicals. So what we have here is we have price come into, so we had a trend down. Now as price goes lower low, lower high, lower low, we could expect a possibility of, there are three scenarios in this particular instance. The two scenarios, I should say, that I'm the most fond with would be a break of support retest and continue to the downside on the 1 hour. Price, however, could come up, pop up to this trend line, and give us the same kind of scenario of break and retest to the bottom. Or price could break through all these Fibonacci levels, then validate everything, and come back down, retest this area, and I would look to buy it. So those are three scenarios that the euro dollar is capable of doing right now. There is this area that we do want to definitely watch, as it's the 61.8 area right at this trend line. This is a third bounce, which I don't really care that much about it being a trend line. I do know that we need to pay attention to it, as we did use this area to create a lower low. So there is selling pressure paying attention to this trend line, in my opinion. Dollar Swiss is the same thing, as it's the inverse. Price could continue to go up directly, break the resistance, retest it as support, and pop up. It could continue down, use the trend line as support, break resistance, support, and go up, or price could completely invalidate all of the fibs, look for confirmation, and to the downside we go out of break and retest of the trend line. As for using the break and retest to actually enter, I would not be interested. I would actually use this zone right here would be the area. That would be the area to look for shorts if we were to invalidate that fib. Pound. So pound, it looks like it should pressure to the downside as it is rolling over. There are a few fundamental factors in this, as pound looks to do more of a hard Brexit than what was originally expected. They are in lockdown as well, causing the same effect as every other country damn near in the world that is losing jobs, the economy is decreasing, and all of that noise. But they do have the extra Brexit pressure. So that makes me a little bit more iffy on pound upside. Price could, of course, invalidate everything I think, break all of these fibs, retest here, give confirmation, and buy to the upside. Or, which I'm more likely, and I think is more likely, is we use this as resistance up in this area. We come down, we start breaking support. I'll use that, and I will sell to the downside. This trend line is just there for a navigation tool, really. The support and resistance levels, the actual levels, are what I'm going to be looking to use to actually get into a trade. Odd dollar, which I bought into the weekend as we came down and broke this descending trend line, created a lower high or a higher low. After we were downtrending, we created a higher low, popped back up. Here's a higher high. Price comes back into the 50% area of this swing, and we invalidated all of the downside fibs. So after the invalidation of all the downside fibs, we hit 100% of this range. Unlikely that we continue to use that fib, so we delete it. We come down here, we take this, and we see a 50% rejection. We have a little bit of indecision here. There is a lower time frame level that you'll see here is a high momentum, indecision, high momentum candle. So here's the pattern: high momentum, indecision, high momentum. Price bounces directly off of that line, and I was able to get into a buy as price continues to go up, using this support level on the 4-hour. There is this trend line here that we can watch for navigation as well. There is no support breaking on the 1-hour, as this is a fairly strong push, and I look for it to keep going to the upside. I have taken some profits off and did put my stop loss actually into profit as well. Odd yen I did not take, as it's the same thing as odd USD, and I don't need the correlation risk. Price, it was doing the same thing, downtrending. We created a higher low against the trend, which is a trend line failure pattern that I made a video on not too long ago. Price invalidated all of the fibs. We delete it. We use this fib, and we hit the 61.8. Price holds this as support, and we start to see the pop as price goes to the upside, and we can use the trend lines, two trend lines, inner and outer, as navigation, as well as support and resistance breaking to the downside, as price has this clearly defined level of support and resistance that is key. So we need to see that hold to continue our bias to the upside there. Odd USD, Kiwi, Jesus, Kiwi USD, NZD USD, as they say. We had a lower low, lower high, lower low. Price invalidated all of the fibs that was used here, right? Hit the negative 27. We looked for a bounce here, and you'll see the same candlestick pattern. High momentum, indecision. Price started to tank, and then we got a high momentum break as price kept continuing to go. Price bounced off of this level nicely, and that was good enough to buy. Stops are at break even, they're actually in profit below this level here, and I haven't taken any off this position as price is highly likely to come up and hit targets. If we were to double tap the 0.605 area, I would take targets there and call that a good enough trade for the day. Price, that would be Kiwi dollar in essence, as there is no reason to see anything else on that one. Euro yen, I am still short. This is a higher time frame trade. It is going for 300 and some odd pips, if I remember right. Yeah, 339 pips. It is a position, not a swing, so it will last for longer than a few months. Or, I mean, not a few months, but it could last a few months, but longer than a few days. So price continues the downtrend as we continue to keep these fibs valid, as price creates on the daily lower low, lower high, lower low, and on the 4-hour lower high or lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and we continue to see continuation to the downside as long as that continues to repeat itself. Price is making this kind of waterfalling structure, which I don't expect to reverse anytime soon. It's nothing to keep on the chart, of course, but it is there to notice it. Price rejecting off of the 50 currently. There is this break and retest to be acknowledged. And on the 1 hour, we have this area that if we were to break, we could sell. So there is that particular thing as well. There is this level as well, but it is not near as strong as this level, as price did come and make a new higher high and close above it, as our price just did a double top here. So I'm going to use that one to go to lows. Or, of course, we could continue to break all of the fibs to the upside. Price could retest this zone here, and we can look for buy to the upside situations. Pound yen is on my watch list very thoroughly, as I do really like this a lot. So pound yen is lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, as we continue to hold this resistance and this trend line, which I'm less worried about. The trend line, I'm more worried about this level across the board here. So there's that level across the board, as well as 61.8, 78.6, and the 100. So we need to hold the 78.6 level to continue to go to the downside. Price is creating a wiki candle. What a name. What a thing to say, right? Forget that. A pin bar. That's a bearish pin bar if it were to close like that. So price created a 1 hour bearish engulfing. Price is creating this support as well, which we can watch for a reaction to come up in here and sell, or we can use this stronger by a long mile support to break and retest and sell to new lows. I would not take this 1 hour bearish engulfing, as there is no reason for price to not bounce here, as it is trending up on the 1 hour, as you can use this trend line for navigation. There you go. You can see it's trending up. On dollar yen, here is the consolidation I had mentioned. Price is consolidating in here. Pretty simple. One, on a consolidation, you look for a break and retest to sell, break and retest to buy. Nothing else really to do with a consolidation. It's a very straightforward trade. And that's it. That's all, folks. Yeah, have a good day. Bye.